Forget everything you know about war. No explosions. No soldiers charging across borders. Today's most dangerous battlefield is invisible, coded in ones and zeros, waged across fiber optic cables, cloud servers, and satellite relays. It's silent, borderless, and constant. And the world's top players aren't just preparing for cyber warfare, they're already in it. Welcome to the digital war zone. The United States, the world's most connected superpower, is also one of its most vulnerable. Its power grids, water systems, financial institutions, and even hospitals rely on interconnected digital infrastructure. That same connectivity makes it a prime target for cyber attacks, and no nation knows this better than its rivals. China is embedding malware into critical U.S. infrastructure. Russia is manipulating public opinion and unleashing destructive ransomware. North Korea is stealing billions to fund a sanctioned regime. And the U.S., it's not just defending itself. It's quietly launching cyber offensives of its own against centrifuges in Iran, terrorist communication networks, and beyond. This is not fiction. This is modern warfare. And with every breach, every backdoor, and every stolen password, the front lines move closer to your phone, your home, your life. In this digital arms race, three nations stand out as the most dangerous to U.S. national security. But how do they compare? Who's the smartest, the boldest, the most aggressive? To find out, we have to look deeper into the tactics, the targets, and the motivations behind the world's most elite state-sponsored hackers. The war is already happening. Let's step into the battlefield. Welcome to Cybercrime History. Before we dig into today's case, can I ask for a small favor? If you're enjoying this content, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It's totally free, and it helps us keep bringing these untold stories to light. Subscribed already? You're the best. Thank you. Let's dive back in. If China plays the long game, Russia thrives in the chaos. For over a decade, Russian cyber operations have shaken the digital foundations of governments and corporations alike. They've targeted Ukraine's power grid, crippled global companies with NotPetya ransomware, and meddled in democratic elections, including the U.S. presidential race. But make no mistake, these attacks aren't just random. They're strategic weapons of influence, disinformation, and disruption. Russia's elite hacking units like APT-28 Fancy Bear and Sandworm operate with state backing, often linked to the GRU, Russia's military intelligence agency. Their cyber attacks are bold, fast, and designed to leave a mark. Unlike the silent infiltrations favored by China, Russia's hacks are loud, messy, and often destructive. Take 2017's NotPetya attack. Launched under the guise of ransomware, it was actually a wiper, erasing data across banks, shipping companies, and infrastructure around the world. The White House later called it the most destructive cyber attack in history. Russia also weaponizes information. Troll farms and bots amplify fake news, erode trust in institutions, and create internal division, what some call cognitive warfare. But there's a catch. Russia's attacks are often easy to trace. And that may be by design. Cyber operations for them are not just sabotage, they're a show of power. Still, their tools are getting smarter. And as tensions rise globally, Russia has shown it's more than willing to push the digital red line. Next, we shift to a rogue state that hacks for survival and profit, North Korea. No nation relies on cybercrime for survival more than North Korea. With a crumbling economy and heavy international sanctions, Pyongyang turned to the keyboard as its greatest weapon and source of income. Its elite hacking unit, known as Lazarus Group, operates under North Korea's military intelligence and has been linked to some of the boldest cyber heists in history. In 2016, they attempted to steal $1 billion from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. A small typo in the transfer instructions stopped most of it, but they still got away with $81 million, and that was just the beginning. The 2017 WannaCry ransomware attack, which spread across 150 countries, was traced back to North Korea. While it caused chaos in hospitals and businesses worldwide, its true goal may have been to test global vulnerabilities and scare the world into paying attention. Unlike China and Russia, North Korea doesn't just use cyber as a tool of espionage or influence. It uses it as a revenue stream. Experts estimate the regime has earned over $2 billion from crypto thefts, bank raids, and ransomware attacks. Their targets are global, their methods are aggressive, and their motives are clear: fund weapons programs, bypass sanctions, and demonstrate power. What makes North Korea dangerous is its unpredictability. They're isolated, sanctioned, and with little to lose, making their digital behavior reckless but effective. Next up, the silent giant in this war, the one most embedded into U.S. networks, China. China's cyber strategy isn't about making headlines. It's about gathering intelligence, stealing trade secrets, and quietly positioning itself inside U.S. infrastructure. Their approach is systematic, subtle, and far-reaching, and it's been happening for years. One of the most infamous breaches, the 2015 Office of Personnel Management (OPM) hack. Over 22 million U.S. government personnel records, including security clearances and fingerprints, were stolen. Intelligence agencies called it a gold mine for espionage, but that was just the beginning. In 2023, the U.S. government warned of a campaign called Volt Typhoon, where Chinese hackers infiltrated U.S. power grids, communications, and water systems, not to cause immediate harm, but to pre-position malware in case of future conflict. These are sleeper cyber weapons, waiting for a command. China's elite group, often referred to as APT-41, is one of the most active state-sponsored hacking units in the world. They don't just hit governments, they also target private companies to steal intellectual property, closing the gap in military and tech development. China's philosophy is drawn from its doctrine of unrestricted warfare, where cyber attacks are just one piece of a broader strategy: economic, technological, and military. They may not crash systems like Russia or extort millions like North Korea, but China's digital fingerprints are often found deep inside the infrastructure America depends on every day. Next, we turn the lens back on the U.S. and discover that it's not just a target, but a dominant cyber power in its own right. The United States isn't just a target in the cyber war, it's one of the most powerful digital forces on the planet. For decades, U.S. cyber operations have shaped global conflicts in silence. While it rarely publicizes its offensive cyber missions, insiders know one thing: America strikes hard, fast, and often leaves no trace. Take Stuxnet, the world's first known cyber weapon discovered in 2010. Designed by U.S. and Israeli intelligence, it silently infiltrated Iranian nuclear facilities and destroyed uranium centrifuges, all without a single missile being launched. It redefined warfare forever. Since then, the U.S. Cyber Command, headquartered in Fort Meade, Maryland, has grown into a global cyber force. It operates with a dual mission: defend American networks and launch offensive cyber operations when needed. In recent years, the U.S. has conducted digital strikes on ISIS, disrupted terrorist communications, and allegedly infiltrated Russian disinformation operations. In 2020, Cyber Command reportedly took down infrastructure tied to election interference before it could be used. But America's strength isn't just in hacking, it's in alliances. Through intelligence sharing partnerships like Five Eyes and coordination with NATO, the U.S. builds a cyber shield that few adversaries can match. Still, being a cyber superpower comes with risk. The more connected America becomes, the more vulnerable it is to the very kind of attacks it helps pioneer. Powerful, secretive, and deeply embedded, America's cyber arm isn't just reactive, it's shaping the battlefield itself. Next, what tools make these cyber wars possible? Cyber warfare doesn't rely on bullets or bombs. It uses lines of code invisible to the eye but devastating in effect. At the heart of every digital conflict lies a set of powerful tools. Some are crafted by governments, others are stolen, modified, or leaked into the wild. One of the most critical tools is the zero-day exploit, a software flaw unknown to the vendor and, therefore, unpatched. Whoever discovers it first can break into systems without detection. They're rare, expensive, and highly prized by both governments and hackers. Ransomware is another major weapon. While criminals use it for profit, state actors use it for disruption. Russia-linked groups, for example, have used ransomware to freeze hospitals and disrupt pipelines, not just for money, but to create fear and chaos. Then there's supply chain attacks, where hackers compromise software at its source. China has been linked to incidents like the SolarWinds breach, which affected thousands of companies and U.S. government agencies. Botnets, made up of hijacked devices like routers and webcams, are used to launch DDoS attacks that overwhelm systems and take down critical infrastructure. And finally, there's deepfake technology and AI-powered disinformation used to manipulate public opinion and destabilize societies. These tools don't just crash computers, they undermine trust, economies, and national security. Cyber warfare is no longer science fiction, it's real. Next, when these tools are unleashed, what's really at risk? We dive into the world's most valuable and vulnerable targets. Imagine waking up to a world without power, no internet, no water, no working hospitals. That's not a dystopian movie. It's the nightmare scenario cyber experts warn about. In the digital age, critical infrastructure like power grids, water systems, transportation, and communications has become the bullseye of cyber warfare. And for good reason. It's the backbone of modern life. Disrupt it, and you paralyze a nation. In 2021, the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack, linked to Russian hackers, shut down a major fuel line supplying the U.S. East Coast. Panic buying ensued. Gas stations went dry. It was a wake-up call. China's Volt Typhoon campaign went a step further, not just attacking, but embedding stealthy code into U.S. infrastructure. Not for today's war, but tomorrow's. That kind of pre-positioning is designed to cripple systems instantly if conflict erupts. North Korea has also probed power networks while launching financially motivated attacks on hospitals, banks, and telecom providers across the globe. And it's not just foreign actors. The U.S. reportedly has malware buried in the control systems of adversary nations, ready to activate if diplomacy fails. The stakes are growing. Experts warn that a future conflict may begin, not with missiles, but with a keystroke that turns off the lights. As infrastructure becomes more connected, the question isn't whether it will be targeted, but when. Next, we explore what happens when this silent war spills over, affecting not just systems, but lives. In the Cold War, the world feared nuclear fallout. Today, it fears digital fallout. The rise of state-sponsored cyber attacks has triggered a new kind of arms race, one where code is the weapon and civilian life is the collateral damage. The effects are already being felt across every continent. When Russia's NotPetya malware was released, it didn't just target Ukraine. It accidentally infected global giants like Maersk and FedEx, causing over $10 billion in damage. A single piece of code meant for a regional target spun into an international disaster. North Korea's ransomware has hit hospitals in the UK and factories in Germany. China's espionage campaigns have stolen blueprints, vaccine data, and defense tech, not just from the US, but from allies like Australia and Canada. Cyber warfare is no longer confined to national borders. A breach in one country can cascade across the globe. And with AI, deepfakes, and autonomous cyber tools on the rise, disinformation campaigns are eroding public trust and destabilizing democracies. The result? A fragile, always-on conflict, one where any misstep could escalate to physical retaliation. Nations are racing to build cyber alliances, just like they did with nuclear treaties. But unlike nukes, cyber weapons are hard to detect and even harder to control once released. We're witnessing the dawn of a digital Cold War, but unlike the last one, this battlefield is everywhere, and everyone is already a potential casualty. Now comes the final question. In this global cyber standoff, who is truly America's #1 enemy? So who is America's greatest cyber enemy? Is it Russia, with its aggressive headline-grabbing attacks and relentless disinformation campaigns designed to destabilize democracies from within? Is it North Korea, the digital outlaw using cybercrime to fund weapons and defy global sanctions, reckless, hungry, and with nothing to lose? Or is it China, the silent infiltrator embedding itself into infrastructure, stealing secrets, and quietly preparing the battlefield for a conflict that hasn't happened yet? And let's not forget the United States itself, a cyber superpower capable of launching world-changing digital operations. From Stuxnet to election interference countermeasures, America isn't just defending its turf, it's reshaping the rules of engagement. Each nation plays a different game. Russia thrives in chaos. North Korea hacks for survival. China plays the long strategy. And the US guards its power while projecting it globally. But here's the truth. The most dangerous adversary may not be the loudest. It's the one already inside your systems. The one whose presence you don't notice until it's too late. The cyber battlefield is evolving every day, and the enemy isn't always clear-cut. Alliances shift, tools improve. The next attack could come from anywhere. So we leave the question to you. In a world of invisible warfare, who poses the greatest threat to America? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this eye-opening, like and subscribe for more stories that expose the hidden world of cyber warfare. This is Cybercrime History. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and stay informed with the next video.